Hi guys, Tejas from Breaking Code. This is my new series, Think Serverless. So in this video, we'll look at a system design problem, the upload flow of YouTube slash Netflix or any other video streaming website. So let's jump into the problem statement. So we have to create a scalable system that handles upload of a video. Basically, we'll take example of YouTube. We need to create a YouTube-like system, and the major requirement that we are going to focus on is it should be highly available and scalable because we need to handle the scale of YouTube as well. So these are the business requirements that we'll focus on. Firstly, authorization, upload media for user. So upload media is upload a video so that user can upload a video, support the video on multiple devices in multiple qualities, check for any policy or copyright violation, and basically send notification to the subscribers that hey, Breaking Code has uploaded a new video, do check it out. Now let's try to design a system. This is the basic form that will help us to upload a video to YouTube, which will have basic details like name of the video, description, or the tags associated with the video. And the form will directly upload our video to a blob store. Then we have the authorization service. The authorization service will be responsible for mainly authentication, authorization, rate limiting, and load balancing. Rate limiting because we don't want any user to abuse our website like uploading millions of videos by using a JavaScript for loop or something like that. And definitely we have our main monolithic app which will be responsible for a lot of things, and definitely we'll have multiple instances of that app running for scalability. And then we'll have a final database where we'll insert the video details and actually the link to the video that we have uploaded on this blob store so that we can stream it. So let's look into this monolithic application and its roles. So the first role of our monolithic application is to compress the video that we upload. The very video that you're watching on YouTube has been converted into multiple qualities, as you can see here. So that's what we need to do. We need to convert our video into different qualities. And then the second thing is we need to generate subtitles for the videos as well. Then we need to check for policy violation that video does not have any copyrighted content in it. And finally, if everything clears, then we insert the video into our database, the link of the video and the name and description and things like that. And finally, we need to send notification to the subscribers of the channel that hey, Breaking Code has uploaded a new video. So do check it out. So this is our most basic infrastructure and we'll keep updating to this. So first thing that we are going to do is replace this blob store. So why manage it ourselves when Amazon does it for you? So let's just replace it with Amazon S3 or maybe Object Store from Google Cloud. And definitely it makes sense because it's more available, it's globally distributed and secure, scalable, more than what we can ever achieve. So that's the first thing we do. Second thing is auth service that we are building it ourselves, the authorization, rate limiting, and load balancing. So why not even give that responsibility to the cloud? So we'll use API Gateway for that. So the same thing, API Gateway also handles the authorization, rate limiting, and load balancing. And what we are doing here is API Gateway can handle the load that the user sends us, but our monolithic application has set number of instances running. So it might not be able to handle the load that is coming. So that's why we have a queue here that will rate limit the number of videos that the monolithic application could process. So videos get processed one after other and without overwhelming the application. So that's one thing we are going to do with API Gateway, so our downstream service does not take a hit. And once the video is processed, we'll upload it to DB, same as discussed before. So one question I have here is, why are we doing everything in sync? So in this case, we have our compressed media module, which will convert our 1080p video, which was uploaded originally, to a video of size 240p and 480p and so on and so forth. So why are we waiting on this call and not inserting into DB? If the user wants to watch the video in 1080p, then we should be able to stream it and not wait for 240p compression to get over. Or even the same thing, we are waiting on the call of generating subtitles. So if the user wants to watch the video without subtitles, I think we should be able to stream it to him. So let's try to work on that now and we'll try to make our service more async. So basically divide our monolithic application into multiple microservices. So these are the exact business use cases that we want and we'll try to achieve that using our microservices. So let's look into that. So let's try to understand what's happening here. So in earlier case, we were triggering a single monolithic application. So in this case, what we'll do is trigger multiple services as we have divided it. And the first service that it will call is core service. So it's one of the most important service. So what it does is it will take the video title, video description, and the original link of the video which has been uploaded to S3 and insert the same data in database. So once the data is inserted in database, the user can view the video like instantly. So even though the other services are not done, the user can stream the video directly in the original quality. Simultaneously, what we have triggered is a video processing service. As you can see, the name suggests. So it will take the original video from S3 and try to compress it into various qualities. Suppose it finishes its compression for 480p. So what it will tell the database that hey, my 480p video is compressed, so you can make it available for the user as well. So it updates the entry in database, so the database can also start streaming 480p video, and so on and so forth. So same goes for subtitle service. So when the subtitle service is done, so it will just notify the database that hey, subtitles are available and this is the file for the subtitles. So we can stream the subtitles along with the video as well. So as you can see, we have just divided a big monolithic application into multiple services, and every service is working independently, and database is acting like a central component in the service. They are notifying the database that hey, my job is done, now you can update your row and add my functionality as well. So if the video processing is done, it will stream the video in multiple qualities. If the subtitles are done, it will try to stream the subtitles as well. So now what we can do is try to make our service more efficient. So as you can see, the core service, what its entire job is, it just take the video title, description, and the S3 link and update it into database. So we don't need an entire service running 24/7. As we have seen in earlier videos, we need to save some bucks, right? So same goes for subtitle service. It's not doing much. It is a short service just generating the subtitles, and so that's why we'll convert these services into lambdas or maybe function as a service from Google Cloud. The main thing is what we have achieved here is we kept the functionality same, the code will remain the same, but now as the service is running on Lambda, we'll just have to pay per number of invocations, and so the service doesn't need to be up and running 24/7. And definitely it's more scalable as this service is managed by AWS as it's hosted on Lambda. One thing you notice is we didn't replace the video processing service in this case. Why? Because video processing service, as you can imagine, is a long running service, and there are some limitations on Lambda that you can keep in Lambda running for 15 minutes and not more than that. Because Lambda is basically for a short running task and you're not supposed to run an entire video processing service on Lambda. That's why we didn't replace video processing service with AWS Lambda. Maybe just host this processing service in a Docker container and on AWS ECS, that is container service, or something like that. We'll look into that later. So this was the point. We can host our short running service into Lambdas. So basically what we are doing here is we are trying to divide our monolithic application into microservices, right? So let's do the same for notification service. As you can see, it's sending email, push notification, and WhatsApp, or maybe any other channel. So it's doing multiple tasks and which are not interdependent on each other. So let's try to divide that too. So as you can see, once the video is uploaded to database, once we have that event that the video is uploaded to database, we'll just put a message in SNS saying that the video is uploaded, and the individual service will pick up the message that it will send the email, push notification, WhatsApp, maybe if we add another channel in future, maybe Tinder or something. So we'll send the message on that as well. This was the main point of the system. This is almost complete. So definitely we can make it more efficient. Like we can replace the video processing service by Elastic Transcoder, which is again an AWS service which does the job for you. Once the video is uploaded, it will transcode the video into multiple qualities, even into an MP3 file. It will also generate the subtitle for you and all those things. So definitely we can keep improving the service. But the entire point of the video is that we need to make our services more event driven. And as you can see, we just generated the upload event, and the event triggered all the services like core, subtitles, video processing, and they all worked individually and did the job. And at the end, they just uploaded their success or failure status to the database saying that hey, my job is done. If the subtitle service fails, no worries, we can just stream the video without subtitles. So we are not blocking or sacrificing the user experience just because one service fails or it's going through some updates or something like that. So we have just tried to build a microservice based system which will be entirely driven by events. That was the main point of the video. Definitely we can keep improving the service in many ways. So share the video if you liked it, and If you want to contribute to this channel, then just email me on this email ID mentioned here. So we can maybe have discussions about system design and you can help improve this channel. So, and again, like the system design that we did was my own personal opinion. This is no way YouTube does it. So definitely suggest me if we can improve anything on this. I am definitely certain that there are a lot of things that we can improve. Thanks a lot, guys. Peace.